So, so a quick introduction. I actually am a developer. I have been a developer for all my 15 years of my life. And I recently, 3 years ago, turned into a product manager. And so I always, still a developer by heart, but product manager by a passion. I really believe, and it came from one of my mentor, that there is always a solution to every problem. If there is a problem, then there has to be a solution. So yeah, proud father, a hiker, biker, CrossFitter. It's a quick introduction. Love my whiskey. So we are at Alias Reinvent. We are actually, Alias is announcing new feature every day. Now, we are operating at a cloud where it's impossible to keep track what's happening every moment. Cloud is not just used by one person in the company, but used by many people, used across the organization, used by single individual, used in different business units, different teams. Everyone wants to maintain a single source of truth across the cloud, but it gets harder and harder as the new services comes in play. So what we want to do, as the cloud is evolving, you want to maintain a full visibility into your cloud operation. One of the best thing in the AWS has done, or any cloud has done, is that you can tag your resources. You can find your resources by owners, a project, a cost center. But how do you utilize those resources to get the visibility? And this is where I am actually an employee of one of the VMware subsidiary, Cloud Health. Cloud Health lets you manage your complete visibility into the cloud infrastructure. Also allow you to have resource management. For example, you have on-prem resources on a data center and you want to move to AWS, we give you complete visibility into how much it's going to cost you and what's the migration going to look like in the cloud. While we also give you complete information around how you can govern your cloud. How you can govern your cloud and the security and insight. With the insight and analytics into your costs and uses, helps you make a decision if you're actually charging a lot of money on one of the infrastructure, how your EC2 instance may be costing a lot of money, but you may not have to use that. So we give you insight into the metrics and help you optimize your resources. And all can be automated. You can govern over it. You can write policies on it where you can say, I'm going to write this policy on an instance every time an instance memory actually goes above 50%, or actually memory is less than 2%, send me an email. If the memory is actually shooting up, send me an email. And this is how you can actually completely automate your cloud infrastructure. And we have a tool in CloudHealth. The tool is called Perspective. The perspective is like if we give you perspective in your cloud infrastructure. You want to see your infrastructure. I want to see just my assets which are used in production. I want to see just my assets which are in the staging. I want to see the asset by application types. I want to have the precision reporting on those assets. Like I want to give me a cost on those assets. And then this is how you can actually completely give me a cost by all the production environment, or give me a cost by department. I want to see how much the department is costing. And this is where the perspective helps you. It can be rolled across whole organization. So if you have a different organization using different tags, you can actually see that this organization, what is the production cost for organization A, or what is the production cost for organization B. And this is how the perspective gives you full visibility into your infrastructure. Completely flexible. In a way that you can choose any rule on any metadata in the cloud to create your perspectives, to create your grouping. And that rule allows you to control the infrastructure irrespective of how you're creating and how metadata is being created in the cloud. For example, I'm going to go through the quick demo in the perspective. Let's look at all the assets. I've created the 4 different categories, group 1, group, and group 3. And it filters through all those categories where you can see that some assets. Give me a second. That's okay. Thank you. Okay. No, this is good. So here the perspective allows you to go define that some of the asset goes in group 1, group 2, and group 3. So let's say if you have 100 assets, and one of the assets says like 25% of the asset had a tag called business group 1, you can actually use those tags to filter your. Give me 1 second. Yes, you can. So here, I have really no idea what's happening. So here, so you can actually allow, like, the group actually can filter the assets. Now, group, when all the assets go to business group 1, they have a priority. So you can actually say that group 1 actually has some set of assets, group 2 has some set of assets. I'm going to do
I have to close it. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'm going to give a demo of the perspective. So let me actually show how exactly perspective works. So here, if I want to say this is a cloud, how it looks like. If I want to actually look at my reports, and one of my reports are getting to see the cost, what we can see here is that I want to see the cost by my cost centers. And this is where perspectives are really powerful. Looking at the cost per cost centers, and you have some tags based on those cost centers. I see all my cost center costs here, but I just care about my shared infrastructure cost because I want to see what is my shared infrastructure cost. At the same time, let's see how much Vishal is actually costing in that one of the shared infrastructure. So just for the owner, Vishal, this is how my costs have been going up and down over the months. So we are actually utilizing the tags coming from the cloud to create these groupings. Now the groupings can be helped not for the cost, but you want to say, I want to see what does my metrics look like? What is my CPU product have been actually in those groupings? Also, I want to optimize. Can I save some money on these? And all this can be done, but the underlying layer of perspectives is actually used for it. Perspectives are actually done if we have a UI to create those perspectives. And for example, I'm going to go to one of the cost center. And you can see that I have created a perspective here. We have different groups for different cost center. And I can go look into one of those groups. And I can see where the Google Compute, my friendly name equals this, or Cloud Health Engineering, or Cloud Health Project. So you can see that there's all actually have a name and some kind of tags on it. But then perspectives are actually done by someone coming in, but the tags changes all the time. For example, our owner, myself, has existed in the platform for, let's say, 3 years, and I moved on the platform, and my ownership is transferred to someone else. How do we go maintain those perspectives? And as cloud is evolving, the ownership of the infrastructure is also changing. But the provisioning in the cloud is completely automated by some of the tools called Terraform. And that's the part of my presentation where, let me go back here. where you can see that this is how there's a perspective API to create perspectives in the infrastructure. So I'm going to talk through an API where you said that I want to create a perspective environment, and any time a tag CST dev comes in, create a grouping. So we have an API for that. But the API, again, a human will have to go and create this, move the APIs. How can we completely take the human element out of it so every time there's a change in infrastructure, your groupings is changing so that, for example, you change the tag from CST dev into environment. You fix the spelling. Dev becomes development. Things will be changing over time. How you make sure that every time something changes in your infrastructure at the cloud, this grouping also changes so that your cost management, your resource management is also exactly same. So one of our customer, Yelp, actually used this and create an open source on it. And then open source exists at Terraform provider Cloud Health. They use the power of our Perspective API and wrote an open source which you can deploy using Terraform. And we know the power of Terraform. Everything deployments when goods goes in cloud is now via Terraform. They have changed the concept of perspective. And we, as a Cloud Health, we are also working on it to make it better, where the perspective can be treated as a code. Because the tag management, resource management, is not going to be scalable when 5 people actually go in and make sure that, oh, I made a spelling mistake. Oh, I have to transfer the tags. It's not going to scale. Has to be completely automated. So what if you want to deploy the same thing using Terraform? So this is how the code looks like that. You actually have a resource, you call it Terraform. You have the group, which is a development group here. And you have a rule on AWS instance. And you see that the field tag CST env equal to dev. You can add multiple rule intents. You can say that I want to also set CST environment equal to development. You can actually do all the spelling mistakes in one different array. So you have all the, when we find those rules and we find any asset which satisfies those rules, will automatically be part of this grouping. Now this grouping is really powerful because you can see that I have created a rule just on EC2, but I also see volume here. Because we believe that EC2 has an umbrella which contains volume, volume contains snapshot. So we give you true umbrella of resource on how this thing should work. Now how do you deploy in the Terraform? This is how you deploy on the Terraform. Some resource, some instance name, some instance type, and you have dev, development owner, Vishal. And once you deploy on the Terraform, you can actually output all the tags. So as you're deploying in the Terraform, you deploy in the perspective. And you can use the module dev here and tag CST owner, and this will create exactly same perspective. You can actually export the perspective and change the rule as you're deploying in the Terraform. So for example, owner X has moved. Now you want to make sure that, okay, I want to make sure that the group name changed from Vishal to, let's say, John. How do I do that? I'm going to go make this change here. But at the same time, historically, I cannot go change Vishal's tag in Amazon because those don't exist. I want to see my historical costs. You can also do that. Historically, you can actually deploy those code. So not only you're changing the tags which is going to come in, but you're historically also removing the ownership of Vishal to John. So when you actually go in our platform, the Cloud Health, and look at the cost, or look at the uses, you can actually see the full uses and control uses of any tags. And this is not limited to tags. This could be by region, because we support region. You can say, I want to see the cost of region. And you can create multiple perspectives. I want to create not just environment, but also owner perspective. So while you're deploying into it, you're actually creating multiple perspectives. Going back to my demo here, say like we have a list of different perspectives. Not, what if I want to see the cost of project, let's say open card, in the line of business engineering and update it and see what's going to happen. Do we even have a cost? Yes, there's some cost. I want to see this cost by, let's say, all the environment I'm deploying in it. And you have just production cost. So I literally was able to find a production cost. Sorry, I'm not sharing my screen here.
Problem in a sec on the screen.
Okay,
You have to drag.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So here, what I did was I actually selected the project open card and line of business engineering, and I want to see categorized by all the environment cost. What I was able to see that I just have cost in production. But at the same time, I want to see the cost of my EC2 compute, and this is my cost of EC2 compute. Using the power of tags and completely automating the tags, you can drill down in each and individual cost by any tag, any resource, any metadata on the resource. By regions, could be by regions, could be account ID, by anything. So perspectives are powerful, but because of one of our customer, Yelp, they made it more powerful when we take the human element out of it to maintaining the perspectives. So that was my presentation. Any questions? Yeah.
Take as basic as cost management.
Yeah.
So the cloud providers like AWS are not doing as good of a job as you guys are doing that.
Yep. Yep. So see, the cloud. So you're right because, and we are just not a cost management tool. So one of the way to look at it that when you can actually look at the cost by tags or anything in like any field, but what we are doing is above and beyond. You can see that if any time the cost is more than, let's say, $20 for the tag owner Vishal, send me an email. Or let's say I have actually mandated that when you deploy anything which is tag owner is equal to XYZ, and that old XYZ does not comply with what we have, send me email. In fact, you can create a grouping where say that if you have the volume which is not attached to any EC2, send me email or even go delete it. So we are just not cost. What we do is a cost as a driver to drive our platform where we can optimize your whole solution. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. Any questions?
You have a question?
Okay. Thanks.